very much for inviting us here today. I'm delighted to be here. I'm rarely in a room with this much energy. It's fantastic to see all of you here. So that's awesome. And I want to recognize two very special friends that are here. And I know that Pamela was here last year, but a significant woman in her own right, Pamela Martin. Happy to see you here. And I love working with her. She's awesome. And also another very, very special friend of mine, the Honorable Stephanie Cadieux, who works with us. She looks after the best interests of children, particularly vulnerable ones in the province, and she does an amazing job of it. So she came to join you this morning as well. So Stephanie, thanks for coming with me. Christine, thank you for your efforts here. You've done a fantastic job. Let's give her a huge thank you. This is a lot of work. So I'm just going to take a couple of minutes. I want to share just a couple of stories with you. I first of all, am thrilled that you are here today. Mums, every mum is extraordinary. You know, I love the theme. It talks about, you know, you're going to hear from inspirational talks by extraordinary mums. Any one of you could get up here and give a talk about what you do as a mother. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of titles in my life. The most important one for me is mother. Although I have to tell you, I have a new one now, and I'm going to start the Leading Grandmothers Club, the Grandmoms Club, because I want you to know, amazing. There's probably not many grandmas in this room, but I want you to know I've come to believe that there's a place in your heart. You know, you love your children unconditionally, and that's hard on some days. Maybe this morning it was hard for you. I'm not sure. I got a text from my son. I'm a mother of twins, a son and a daughter. We did it once and did it right. We had 2 at a time. It was challenging, but it was absolutely awesome. And you know, but I do believe that in your heart, there's a little tiny place that remains locked until you hear the word grandma. And then it opens up and you have this new depth of love for this little person or persons. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be a grandma. But I just want to encourage you today. My roots are, I'm a mom. And I had the opportunity in my life. I was given incredible opportunity, and each stage of my life, I thought to myself, I can't do that. Why would I do that? I started my political career as a mother. I went to the school door, the kindergarten door, and I had one little child in each hand. And I walked through the door and I looked at some things that were happening, and my children went to an inner city school because our neighborhood is very divided. It's almost a visual of, you know, on the hill are the middle class families, and on the other side of the school are the ones who are more vulnerable. And people were very cynical. You're going to let your kids go to that school? I said, yeah, because actually that's the world. I want my children to learn about the world, and I want them to be influencers. And so we did go to that school, and I got to that door and I thought to myself, you know, I need to get involved. So I went to the first Parent Advisory Council meeting and I came out the chair. I didn't even know how that happened, but I said to my husband, great meeting, dear, I'm in charge. And I went on from there, and then someone came and said, we need you to run for the school board. I said, are you kidding me? I don't aspire to be a politician. I don't want to do that. They said, we need you to give it a shot. So I ran for the school board, and the very first time I ran, I came second. I beat all the incumbents except one. And from there, I went on to be the chair of the school board. And from there, I went on to run for provincial office. And I'm very proud to say that a mom, which is what I am, moved from being the chair of the Parent Advisory Council to being the Attorney General and Deputy Premier of British Columbia. Now, I want you to know, I did not aspire to it. I did not dream about it. But every step of the way, the door got opened, just like they're opening for you. And boy, I thought about it. I thought, oh, I don't want to, you know, what about, I'm not going to do that. And, you know, when the Premier came to me and said, I want you to consider, I need you to be the Attorney General of British Columbia, I looked at her, I said, are you kidding me? I'm not a lawyer. We can't do that. She said, yes, you can. I have belief in you, and I know you can do this. So reluctantly, I said yes. But I want you to know, and I do want to share 2 little stories, one about my grandson, because it is an amazing thing. The choices you make, and I know you think about this because you grapple with it. If you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, or in my case, or Stephanie's, you're a politician, they have impacts on our families. They can be fantastic, and there are some days when it's pretty tough. I'm sure Christine has some of those tough days too, and the speakers you'll hear. But I'm here to encourage you today to tell you it's worth it. My little grandson, I have one that's 18 months old, and I have an adorable 3.5-year-old named Caleb, whose language skills, we were just talking about that, have grown exponentially. But he's been exposed to my political career recently, particularly because of a campaign. It's pretty hard when you're driving around town and there's your grandma's picture everywhere. It's like, Grandma, that's you. Yes, yes, Caleb, that's me. The day after the election, I won my seat for the 4th time, and my daughter-in-law said, come on over and we'll just have dinner. And it was so great to be around that family table. My 3-year-old grandson, in the middle of dinner, looked straight at me, and in his very conversational way, he puts down his fork and he looks at me and he says, so Shirley, how was work today? And my daughter-in-law's jaw dropped and she said, that would be Grandma to you. But he knew about the job that I had. He's 3.5, but he knows that Grandma goes on a plane and that she works hard and that her picture was all over the place. So he hasn't put those pieces together, but he's already being influenced by the job that I've chosen to do. But here's the real reason I do what I do and why each one of you have enormous, enormous opportunity. And I'm so excited by having you in this room and the great speakers you're going to hear. When the Premier asked me whether or not I would be the Attorney General of British Columbia, and it was a really steep learning curve, and you have those days too when you think to yourself, is it worth it? I'd have to get briefings on lawyers and judges and cases and tsunamis and all of these things. And I'd get up every morning and work really hard just to understand my file. But here's why it's worth it on those mornings. You see, in the legislature of British Columbia, there are 3 groups of people who have their pictures on the walls. There's the speakers, there are the premiers, and there are the attorney generals. And I had a class of school children come all the way from Valemount to visit me, and I took them through the legislature. I did the kind of off-the-beat tour. I took them to places they weren't supposed to see, but you know what? I got to do that. And I said to one of the groups as we were walking down the hall, I said, I want you to look down this hallway at all the pictures on the wall, and I want you to tell me what you notice. So we walked down the hall, and we got to the end of it. One little girl puts up her hand. She said, I know. And I said, what is it? She said, she said, there's no girls up there. You see, British Columbia had never had a female attorney general in the history of our province. I got to be the first one. And I'm a mom. I didn't dream it. I didn't aspire to attain it. But it's something that a door opened for me. So I want you to know what I did about this, and I hope you'll remember this visual. Stephanie and I have to rush out, and we wish we could be here to be inspired as well. But we're going to go be inspired by our boss, Christy Clark, who's actually sending you a greetings. Let me just leave you with this. I got to have my picture on the wall of the legislature. The ones before me were all male. Most of them had facial hair, and many of them are quite a bit older than I am. So when I went to get my photograph taken, I put on the brightest pink jacket you have ever seen. And so in the hall of the legislature, there are all these black and white photos, and then bang, there I am. So I want you to remember, look for your pink jacket moment. I can hardly wait to take my grandsons, Caleb and Cooper, to see that pink jacket. That potential exists within each one of you. Find your pink jacket and be proud of it. Thanks for having me today.